full of inequality. Racial inequality, gender inequality, health, education, political, and especially prominent in America today, financial inequality.
The top wealthiest 1% possesses 40% of the nation's wealth, whereas the bottom 80% own 7% of the nation's wealth.
I think that we are at a moment, but in part because a growing awareness of inequality in our society, where it may be possible not only to refocus attention on the issue of poverty, but also maybe to bridge some of the gaps.
14.5% of all Americans live under the poverty line, which is more than 45 million people. Poverty and crime have a very close relationship that has been described by experts from all fields, from sociologists to economists. In other words, where you find poverty, you find crime. It appears that, in fact, poverty is a catalyst for violence, criminal damage, and drug use. To get some opinions from the general public, we went to D.C. and interviewed any willing passerby on the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
A lot of people, too many people are in jail, do you think?
Yeah. Too many people in jail. Yeah.
That's the way I would put it.
I think we have an overpopulation of prisons.
Right.
So
There's a lot of...
In fact, although the U.S. has 4.4% of the world's human population, it has 22% of the world's prison population.
I'm talking about the problem. We know that the criminal justice system needs reform. We know that there are 2.3 million people in American jails and prisons, making us the most incarcerated nation on the planet. We know that there's another 7 million people on probation or parole. We know that the criminal justice system disproportionately affects people of color, particularly poor people of color. And we know that there are system failures happening everywhere that bring people to our courtroom.
They don't adequately deal with the problem. They just throw people in jail and hope that they go away.
The question we ask is, does everyone have equal access to justice?
I think everybody can get a lawyer, whether that lawyer is good or whether that lawyer wants to actually fight for you. I think that's where that answer lies.
yeah.
So access to justice, yes. Information about justice, no. Not
Of course,
anymore.
if you're Eric Trump and you get charged with, with a criminal defense, then, your pop's gonna, move oceans and mountains and whatnot. And then you've got a guy who's from Guatemala and, and he has significantly less resources.
Definitely. I mean, if you've got more money, you've got a lawyer that costs more, and he has more resources, so they can find out how, some of the loopholes in the law, or they just have more resources to find out more information to either defend you if you need defending, or against you if somebody's
Lawyers and stuff. Poor people can't afford those really good lawyers, those prestigious, those lawyers that went to Harvard or all those,
I mean, I think that if you have less money, you're typically not going to get as good of a lawyer just because of how economics works.
If you have a lot of money,
you got a lot of money, you're going to be able to pay for better lawyers.
Many of those we interviewed pointed out, money provides people with resources, and resources often lead to justice. Unfortunately, many people do not have enough money to pay for these resources, and those under the poverty line cannot afford a private lawyer.
Generally speaking, I charge $200 an hour. Now I say.
To be considered below the poverty line, one must make about $12,000 a year. With this little money, every hour with a $200 an hour lawyer spends over 15% of one's annual earnings. Because of this, many people accused of a crime have no choice but to be represented by a public defender.
Just a little research that I've done. On average, a public defender in Anne Arundel County has 12,262 cases a year, and that's 705 cases over the caseload limit set by the state. Just to give you an idea, I won't do 705 cases in a year in a criminal court. Okay, on my best day, I'm not going to do that number. Okay, so it's to say they're overworked is an understatement.
Right now, I have a caseload probably of about 70 clients.
Oh. They have non-binding caseload limits. In other words, the state house has said, oh, well, we have caseload limits for you, but we're going to break them every month. Okay? And they do every month.
Many public defenders are overworked and underpaid, leading to little time and little interest for their clients.
And when did you meet your public defender?
The day of my court date.
I seen my old lawyer like 3 times. I just got a new one since I got way down to juvenile. I only saw him like once, and that's my court date. I don't think he really cared.
A lot of people are forced to take like a guilty plea just to get through the justice system.
Yeah.
That's it. So I mean, that I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah.
But other times, like forensics and DNA can actually set people free. So there's kind of a give and take.
He didn't make me plead guilty, but he suggested I should plead guilty.
Some public defenders may be perfectly adequate and have their clients' best interests. However, this is not always the case. As we concluded earlier, one's chances are better with a private lawyer, which many cannot afford. The reason private lawyers have to charge so much is because of the staggering tuition of law school.
As far as the attorneys, the private attorneys, and the cost of their services, most attorneys, when they get out of law school, considering they paid for undergrad and for law school, are usually looking at $100 grand to $200 grand in student loan debt. Okay, and that's why they charge the way they do. You have, when you're paying $1,200, $800 a month in student loan payments for the rest of your life, yeah, you need to make some money.
Unless they set their prices high, the majority of private lawyers would be crushed by student debt.
So, decreasing the cost of legal education would go a long way to making sure that attorneys can afford to provide services to clients who may not have enough money or may be indigent, and allow them to take more cases on a pro bono basis. Okay.
Aside from the cost of legal education, the money being used to put people in jail could be better spent on building a better future for them and making them an asset to society.
We helped a woman who was arrested for stealing groceries to feed her kids get a job. Instead of putting an abused teenager in adult jail for punching another teenager, we secured mental health treatment and community supervision. A runaway girl who was arrested for prostituting to survive on the streets needed a safe place to live and grow, something we could help her with. I even helped a young man who was so afraid of the older gang kids showing up after school that one morning, instead of a lunchbox into his backpack, he put a loaded 9mm. I couldn't fathom why we would spend so much money to keep this one person in jail for the next 80 years when we could have reinvested it up front and perhaps prevented the whole thing from happening in the first place.
It costs anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000 per year to house inmates in federal and state correctional facilities. This kind of money could be used productively. Programs to provide the kind of help that Adam Foss describes exist, but often they are not known to the people that need them. It is up to a person in a position of power or influence to increase exposure of these opportunities and programs and spread the word to poor communities.
We see too many poor people coming through this system. I think there is a correlation between poverty and crime. There are too many minority young men in the criminal justice system, and I think the one thing that in DC that is a commonality, amongst most of the population of the young men, whether they be black or white or Hispanic, but is that they're poor.
There's no easy fix, but a few ways to make a difference in the staggering ties of poverty and imprisonment is better funding for public defenders, cheaper law school and law education, and more information about legal aid programs.